Hello, this is Bruce P. Grether, the author of Thanks for Breakfast, a new novel set in Estes Park, Colorado, which is now available in paperback on Amazon and Kindle and various ebook formats all over the world, fortunately. I'm talking to you right now from a beautiful old restroom in the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park. And as I turn around, you can see this is a very elegant restroom. And in fact, for example, here's a copper sink, which is really exquisite. And here are some amazing old photographs of the inside of the hotel that are historical pictures. Try not to make you too dizzy with motion sickness. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is a photograph of F.O. Stanley himself, the inventor of the Stanley steamer who built the hotel. And here is a beautiful photograph of the Stanley Hotel in winter. You can see what an exquisite place it is. And yet another photograph, this is a Stanley steamer, I believe, with a couple of gentlemen who have beards and bowler hats riding in the Stanley steamer. And I just want to tell you that I filmed a little bit of footage out in front of the hotel, and the weather was getting so cold and it was starting to snow that my MacBook actually literally kind of froze up and malfunctioned, and it didn't save the footage that I made. So I'm doing it over again, and I'm doing it in different circumstances indoors here where it's not freezing cold and snowing. So in this famous hotel that Stephen King made even more famous in the film The Shining as the Overlook Hotel, I'll tell you that, to be quite honest, with all due respect to Stanley Kubrick, one of the great filmmakers of all time, I really much prefer, many people will disagree perhaps, I much prefer the TV miniseries that was filmed here at the Stanley Hotel of The Shining. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's a lot closer to the novel Stephen King wrote. He apparently only spent one day here before he wrote the book. But anyway, I'm going to read just the first few paragraphs from my book, Thanks for Breakfast, which takes place in the same town. The Stanley Hotel plays a very tiny role in this novel also, Thanks for Breakfast. But anyway, here is the first few paragraphs. Thanks for Breakfast. Chapter 1, Star Over Blue. His mother was known as the mermaid from Atlantis, and how she got stranded in the Rocky Mountains was a wild tale in itself. Only this is the story of her son, who was in appearance at least quite human. When for the first time since his boyhood Jimmy saw the valley of Estes Park on that spring morning, he could scarcely believe his eyes. Snow-laden peaks marched across the west in a dazzling series of summits. "Geez, this place looks like Shangri-La," he exclaimed aloud. "If I go down there into that valley, I may never leave again." He had driven his faithful old Dodge Power Wagon across the pass from Boulder. On the farthest horizon, the never-summer range spoke silently of even deeper mysteries. And tucked below that vision of alpine splendor, the little resort village nestled where two rivers converged to fill the lake. That day, he was just having fun driving in the mountains. In fact, his late mother, Gloria Thunder, had lived in Estes Park for years. For him, that was a perfectly good reason to avoid the place. In his distracted rambling, he had almost forgotten. Before he really thought about it, he fell in love with the place. That's how he came to live high up in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. At the edge of Rocky Mountain National Park in a rambling neighborhood called Eagle Cliff, with money from his mother's estate, he purchased a small, dilapidated house. He fixed the place up. Sort of. Now, for 23 years, he had kept a secret. The boy-sized rifle that his mother gave him for Christmas all those years before. The rifle kept him too. Though he hardly ever looked at it, in fact, it had been waiting in the back of a cluttered closet for years. The little rifle had unfinished business with him. And here you have the first foreshadowing of what begins to happen in Thanks for Breakfast, that the timeline split with every major event. In this short first chapter, which I only read most of the first page of it, a major timeline shifts, and throughout the novel, every now and then the timeline shift. And you'll find if you pay attention to the details, certain details will change. The past will change. And you'll be in a slightly different world. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and check out Thanks for Breakfast. There's nothing like it. It's something I like to say every chance I get.